me ask the question anyway. Did you hear this morning at the 6 o'clock hour? Did you hear the tempting temptations?
Unfortunately, I did not.
I knew it. I knew it because I said to myself when you got in the car, if you had heard the Temptations, you would have said something to me and said, you would have said, "Hey man, that was good." So we had the Temptations this morning, and they were singing Christmas songs, and I enjoyed it because it was them, the original Temptations now, and it just brought me back to my past when I used to have the kind of voice that Eddie Kendricks has. You don't think I have that kind of voice?
I'm sure you did.
Oh, thank you very much. So this morning, Ron Bell's on his way in. I'm hoping that Minister Priscilla will call in, and she's always listening. For the first hour, it's 7:18. The first hour, what I'd like us to do is to talk to people who are listening about why we feel it's important to reach out to hurting people. And I want to start it by sharing a quick story about Renee and I yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Since last week, Renee and I have been, I've been making flyers. I've made over 3,000 flyers.
Wow.
And we've been distributing the flyers in the community to alert people to the fact that on the 29th, Thursday the 29th of December, we're inviting people, hurting people, everyday people, people who need a meal, to come into the church and to dine with us. And we're going to give we're not giving out a meal like, here's a meal, go home. We're going to feed people here at the church.
Yeah.
And people ask the question, what good is the church? What is the church doing? And every church does something, and even if it's only inviting people in and loving them and trying to support them in some way, it's better than nothing at all.
Absolutely.
And I heard a conversation the other day on this radio station. It was Kevin Peterson was talking about the church, and Jamal Crawford called in and basically was talking about the struggles that the churches have had historically, and the fact that some people are not really protected when they're in the church, especially if they have a predator pastor who's taking advantage of hurting people. So I hear all that, and there are other people who say to me that we should not hold rallies in the church, that the church really isn't relevant. They're not making comments like the church is not relevant anymore. They're basically saying the church is really not relevant, the work that they're doing. So I hear all of that, but I'm not going to give up on the church. I know what it did in my life. I know where I was, and I know where I am. By, as you say, is by the grace of God. It's the grace of God. I didn't have to be here, and so I thank God for what He's doing. So we decided we were going to open the church and bring in people who are struggling and feed them. And some people might say, just feeding people once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, that's inadequate. And I agree that there are some churches, for example, my other church that I came out of, 12th Baptist Church, has a food pantry. And I don't know if they provide food every day or if it's just once a week, but you could see a line of people because 12th purchased a gas station and they turned that into a place where they are feeding people, making the food available. Renee and I were supposed to go to Grove Hall in Mattapan and pass out flyers yesterday, but I could not find a parking space in Mattapan, which speaks to how busy it is with all those businesses, right?
Yes.
And I said, let's just go stand at the bus stop. That's the main central place, the donut shop across the street from the bus stop, and the bus stop on its way down to Nubian Square. that's where a lot of people hang. But we couldn't get out, and that really troubled me. And so we decided to go to Grove Hall. On our way to Grove Hall, we stopped off at Pastor John Borders' church and gave them some flyers, and they really didn't need it because they have a food pantry there. And as Renee was walking across the street going into Morning Star Baptist Church, there was a lady walking in front of Renee, and it was kind of weird because she looked like she was on her way to the church, but I was watching her as Renee was watching. I was hoping this woman wasn't going to try to not attack Renee, but rob her or something, the way she was moving, yeah. And basically she went in and got her 2 bags of groceries. So there are churches that are providing food.
Absolutely.
Or at 12th, they provide Clever Clothing Store, clothing establishment. So there are churches that are
Bishop
doing
Gwen
things.
Weeks, I know she does a food pantry.
Who?
Bishop Gwen Weeks.
Right. So all of that's
There's a lot
important.
of outreach in the community.
Right.
A lot of, during the COVID, they had movies. They were feeding folks. They were doing lots of, efforts just to build relationship in community, doing community walks. So there definitely is. The church is, it may not be advertised or promoted, but there are a lot of folks who are in the church who are doing stuff very quietly.
Well, and you're right. Historically, since I've been here at this church, it seems that as a church ages, some churches, as they age, and we're in the aging process, I never thought we would be here. We used to have a food pantry here. The Share Food program that delivers food to the community, they drive right to the public library here in Dorchester, where they have a big truck and they hand out. It used to be done here at the church, but it was done at a time when we had members who made a commitment. You have to make a commitment to be here every Saturday, so that we can open the doors and let people come in. And I thought that was a good program, but then the people who organized that from our church are no longer here, and there was nobody to take their place. So a lot of those things we were doing. We were blessed to have one of the largest church-based computer program centers in the city. And people were becoming Microsoft certified here.
Wow.
It was at a time when people were afraid of computers, but we had a whole computer technology establishment here. Actually, in this radio station was one of the classrooms, and the other part of the radio station was the classroom and the dining room. So, again, we have done a lot historically in the community, and because of the aging process, we were quieting down, and we do not see the younger population taking our place in this church anyway. I don't know about, I can't speak about other churches, but it's not happening here. And again, because of COVID and because of what people are saying, a number of churches are not the gathering point, the central gathering point for the black community. And the Harriet Tubman House, when they took that down, to me, that was a symbol of what is going to happen in our city as it relates to churches. There are some churches that are in trouble, and so for us, this food distribution program, we're doing it in partnership with the Boston Red Sox. They called us, and they said, their representatives said that we should do something to help people during this season. And they said, why don't you do a food giveaway? And so they're helping to sponsor this.
Great.
And I feel it needs to be done so well that they see the benefit of not just doing it on Thanksgiving, like we gave over 200 meals out. We delivered over 200 meals. It's one thing to invite people in. It's another thing to deliver 200 meals all over the city.
Absolutely.
It was all over the city and outside of the city of Boston. And it was a major, major task. So when the Boston Red Sox representative called me and asked if we could do this, it was just a few weeks ago that everybody was revved up and they were doing the same thing, but they were going out rather than asking people to come in. And I was hoping that our members who participated in the Thanksgiving dinner would not say, I'm going to take a pass here because I'm tired because we did Thanksgiving and we were driving all over the place. And I didn't hear that. People have come on board and they are helping. So Thursday, the 29th of December, we're going to have a meal. And the Taste of Eden, could you share with people something about the Taste of Eden, what kind of a restaurant it is? And it's one thing to feed people out of Taste of Eden, but the question is, do you go there to purchase your food?
I absolutely do go to Taste of Eden. I love supporting our sister mother, Hope Bailey. We affectionately, many of us refer to her as a woman who just has a real heart for community. And the food is outstanding. It's Jamaican food, so it's Jamaican food. It's American food. They've got the food is just delicious. It's absolutely really good. You get hearty portions. They have a new menu board actually, and new menu items, roti and salmon and some other things added to their wonderful menu that they've already had. But again, just a warm place in the community. Go ahead.
You mentioned something as you're telling people about them. Tell people what roti is. Was it you the other day who said, I'm going to go over to get roti?
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah. Roti is a Trinidadian dish. It's delicious. It's like a Trinidadian kind of a burrito, if you will, that has this kind of bread they call them skins that are good all by themselves. It's just a particular kind of Trinidadian bread that they make, and it's warm, and it's a big. I don't know how to explain. It's a big piece of like a pita, but bigger than a pita, and the texture is different, but it's a delicious kind of a skin that they then put inside of it. Potatoes. They've got all kind of vegetables. You can get shrimp, you can get chicken, you can get beef, or a combination of either two or three. And then, the various seasonings that they put in. It's a meal. It's very hearty. It's comfort food. It's hard to really digest the whole roti in one setting, though I have done it when I'm extremely hungry. But they're absolutely delicious. I really enjoy them, and I'm so happy that now that Hopa is making them at Tasty. And of course, they've got what do they call them? Beef patties, and you can get those with cocoa bread and cheese, and a lot of Jamaican kinds of dishes. They certainly have Jamaican breakfast, but their national dish being ackee and saltfish. And again, fried chicken, macaroni and cheese. So a lot of African American food as well. Just a very place that she caters events. She does stuff with the community. She's always wanting to do stuff to serve in the community. We partner with her with Healing Our Land, doing a lot of our outreach efforts over the years. And she's just been a person that does it quality with a lot of love. And you can also does a lot of natural drinks there. You can get stuff that's really just good for you.
Well, this is funny. So whenever I'm over there for an extensive amount of time, for example, we did a remote broadcast there about a month ago.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that we actually tried a remote broadcast. We used to do remote broadcast all the time.
Yeah.
And we decided that we were not going to do it because we needed to upgrade our equipment.
Right.
And then what happened is that Zoom came.
Right.
And so we experimented and we went over. It was really funny because I said to Renee that she had to be in the station to keep everything running, and that you and I and Singer and Ron and Priscilla and others would all go over to the restaurant. And so it worked very well. The only thing that I would do different the next time we do it is that we'll only have one computer on Zoom. That would be the master computer on Zoom.
Okay.
And all the guests that we talk to have to come over to that computer.
Okay.
That we can have another computer up and going, but that's just for social media and making sure we stay on. But we only have one computer, and I think that will work excellently.
Really?
Because I talked to some engineers about the type of equipment that we'd have to bring, and we're talking about $4,000 worth of equipment to do this. And the other thing is that I have a portable piece of equipment that I could bring anywhere, and it runs on batteries to broadcast. But we're TV and radio. We're going to get this thing to all of our networks, you know. So we had a wonderful opportunity to go to Taste of Eden, and I decided that we needed to stay with the Taste of Eden because we could have gone to any caterer.
Sure.
But we stayed with Taste of Eden. And so while we were there, Hope came over with some green stuff in a glass.
Yes.
Do you know what that was?
It was.
Did she offer it to you?
She did.
Did you drink it?
I did.
How was it?
Outstanding.
It looked like brains. It looked like soggy brains. That's what it looked like.
That's all these natural fruits and vegetables that that have been tremendous nutritional value
What does
and
it
healing
taste
properties.
What did that taste like?
You know what? To be honest with you, I don't recall, but I to the best of my recollection, it actually tasted fine. It wasn't something that I recall it being like it didn't taste good. So it would have stood out if it didn't taste good. I would have remembered that. But I get a lot of the natural juices there, and they're actually very tasty, Pastor. They really are. Either they're really mild, where they don't have much taste, or they're actually tasty.
Does it taste? Let me see if I can flesh this out where I'm trying to go with it.
Uh-huh.
Does it taste like a Coca-Cola or something?
No, not at all.
Okay. Does it taste like a raspberry soda? Does it? What? I mean, I don't know. I don't think I could get that down.
Yes, you could. You could. Soda. First of all, it's more like a juice or a smoothie. A smoothie that's juices that are just they squeeze out the pulp is out of it, and sometimes the pulp is even in it. But it's more like a juice or a smoothie as opposed to a soda. A soda is just carbonated water with a lot of sugar and stuff that's caffeine that's not good for you.
Do we have any? So I think Hopa gave me one.
Yes, she did.
I didn't drink it. I don't know if I gave it to somebody else. I don't think I threw it away. I think I didn't want to get caught. But that stuff is like, for example, we basically said that we were going to Hopa's restaurant for breakfast.
Yes.
But we were going to broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
And she started making breakfasts for people. Did you get one?
I did.
Do you remember what you got?
I do. I don't remember everything. I got fried chicken, that I know for sure.
You got fried chicken?
Yes, I think I did.
Did you ask for that?
I did. I think so.
I didn't ask for anything, but she gave it to me, right?
Yeah.
And it was good.
Yeah.
Even Singer enjoyed his little dish.
I think I had grits. I'm pretty sure I had grits because I know that I like grits.
See, and I don't like you.
Why?
Because I don't like grits.
You don't?
I can't eat grits.
Oh my goodness!
I can't eat grits, and when I say I can't, I won't eat grits.
Yeah.
I will not. What else is
cream
there?
of wheat?
I will not eat oatmeal.
Oatmeal, none of that.
I will not eat breakfast cereals that you put in a container and you pour the milk in it and it becomes soggy and it's floating around.
Yeah.
That will make me want to puke. You eat that too?
No, I eat oatmeal. I like oatmeal. Oatmeal is very good for you.
I no. I don't want to go to it's good for you. What does it taste like?
I mean, it depends what you put. If you put sugar and you can put pecans and strawberries and different things you can put in it to make it much more palatable.
it looks like throw up to me.
Doesn't look very appealing.
There's a history with me and these hot cereals. I can't eat any of that at all.
Well, it's funny because I had a bad history with oatmeal in particular. I don't know. I vividly remember as a kid.
You keep going. I gotta go find my phone.
As a kid, having to eat it like on those cold winter mornings, because we literally sat down and had a hot breakfast when we were children, and we're all bundled up before we went out the door to walk to school. When I lived in East Orange, New Jersey, so I vividly remember being forced to eat hot oatmeal and it coming back up because I didn't care for it. But as an adult, I have really learned I've acquired a taste for it, and I understand its nutritional value. So I now eat to live as opposed to live to eat. Yeah, many people of us, unfortunately, have all kind of health challenges because we live to eat, and it's not eating to live. So it's a total shift in your mindset that once you do that, then you can acquire taste for things that may not you've had a bad experience in the past, but you understand that it's good and you do different things. Like I said, pecans and strawberries. Panera has a really nice oatmeal. And so it's all in how you make it.
Okay. All right. So when I look at the oatmeal, I see a milky substance with this gooey stuff that I don't want to even put my hands in it. And I remember my mother used to serve us oatmeal, and I hated it. We had to eat the oatmeal cereal before we went to school.
Yeah.
And I used to just hate. This is so funny. I used to keep it all in my mouth. So I would walk out the door with oatmeal in my mouth.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And it really, really got bad because I kept it. I again, don't understand.
Yeah.
I kept it in my mouth when I was in class. So I was in class. I wasn't talking in class. Why didn't I just spit it out when I was walking down?
Why not? I don't understand.
I don't understand either. But they kept me back in the second grade because they said that I wasn't talkative.
You had a mouthful of oatmeal the whole year.
That was crazy.
That is crazy.
But we're not feeding oatmeal to people. We're giving them. It's at 4:00.
Okay.
The 29th. That's where we're going with this. And the 29th of December, we're inviting people here into the church, and it's no cost. It's a free meal. It's going to be Hope's food. It's going to be rice and peas, or peas and rice, depending on what part of the island you come from. It's going to be chicken, baked chicken. Could you?
Yes.
And it's going to be. It's okay.
Okay.
It's going to be a time for us to be a blessing. We want to be a blessing to people in our neighborhood and people in our community, and we want people to see the church as a place where it's safe here at the church. We want the church to be a place where people can utilize the building for meetings, community meetings. We want to be a place that could speak hope into the lives of people who are living without hope. There are so many different things that we want the church to do. The question is, can the church go back to its to its past and begin to do some of the things that they did that helped the city or the community to become vital? Because when I look at the churches, there are so many churches. It seems that a lot of men and women are in the church vocation and ministry not to be servants of God, not to represent the kingdom, but they're here being pastors for their own self-fulfillment. And I guess that therein lies the problem. That the church, some people may say that the church should not go back to being what it used to be, And I think that some of the things that we've done in the past, that we need to do them again. Today, rather than being dependent upon the church community, we're dependent upon the government. The government has replaced the church. Out of the churches, it's my understanding historically, came schools. Out of the church came political action groups. A lot of positive things have come out of the church. So having a lot of negative things have also come out of the church. And what we need to do is to root out the negativity. And quite frankly, the person that should be starting the rooting out of the negativity is the pastor. But if the pastor is broken, if the pastor isn't healing, maturing, and becoming whole, then the congregation is going to be broken.
Absolutely.
And as I look at our congregation, we absolutely are not perfect.
Oh.
And I hate to even talk about us, because I can talk about us today, and then tomorrow something crazy happens.
That's true.
And now we become the center of attention. But I will say that a lot of the negative things that I've experienced in other churches and in my own church years ago, I've tried to root those out of here and make sure that they do not come in here. And I recognize, and I'm going to ask you and Ron that question, and I know how you're going to respond because I'm here and you're afraid of me. But if I'm not healthy,
yes,
as the titular head of this community,
the what head?
Titular.
I like that word.
If I'm not healthy, emotionally, physically, in every conceivable way, if I'm a sexual predator, then you're going to see that in the church.
Yeah.
So let's talk. Let's talk as we talk about the 29th and what we're doing. Let's talk about, in your opinion, what the church needs to do to reclaim its mission to reach lost people for Christ, right? And help people to heal from their brokenness.
Yeah.
The worst thing in the world is to reach people for Christ, invite them into the church family, and further damage them with just sexual predators, with pastors who are ripping off the people. We can, there's a litany of things that we as the church have done.
Yes.
The church needs to repent of its behavior. So let's talk about some of the things that the church should reclaim. Because I'm just going on and on.
No, I mean, I think, as you said, to be a moral authority, if you will, and servant leadership, I think that's really the whole model. That it's interesting, even as we reflect now on the advent of the birth of Jesus, that we go back to the original model, and we have it. It will never change. Jesus is the unapologetic model of what we're to. His relationship with the disciples, that's the church. It's about relationship with God and people, accountability, transparency. So judgment comes to the house first. And so that's why the whole "if my people who," and it's interesting, the context of the whole "if my people who are called by my name," it talks about if I send, all these plagues and all these things and locusts, and this is God saying this, who's all powerful, said, if I send this, if my people who are called by my name would humble themselves and pray and seek God's face and turn from this is the church, turning from our wicked ways, then God says, I will hear from heaven the sacrifices acceptable to him, which are a broken spirit and a contrite heart. I will forgive their sin, and I will heal their land. As individuals, as people who are submitted to God, who are pointing people to God, not that who are acknowledging our own depravity and confessing that to God and repenting and turning away from that, and then helping people to do the same.
Okay, optimal terminology that you just shared and conceptual thinking. If my people, that's key.
That's the qualifier,
right? But and I'm glad that that verse gives that condition.
Yes.
It doesn't say that the church has.
Nope.
It doesn't say that it's important that the church, if. Because if that if isn't there, if my people, then it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
And so...
And the if, so, and understand it. So here's God saying, if my people, this is not the unbeliever, this is the people of God. If my people who are called by my name, Christians, followers of Christ, would humble, that's the first thing, it's the humility. That's the first if.
Go ahead, keep going.
That's the first condition. And so it's saying, if my people, so we know who he's talking to, who are called by my name, would do what? First step, humble ourselves. So we're not arrived, we're not perfect. It's not about, look at me, how wonderful I am, look what I've done. I dotted every I, crossed every T, I'm perfect. Or I'm, because we are all sinners saved by grace. One of my favorite scriptures, as you know, is Lamentations 3:21-23 that says, therefore this I recall, it's personal, to my mind, it is of the Lord's mercy that we all are not consumed, but his compassion fails not. Great is his faithfulness. So we're always pointing people to God as we focus on God and look to the hills from which come on. So understanding it's but by his mercy and his grace that we're not consumed. Then we are able to be moved. We're able to be moved with compassion to comfort others as we're being comforted with compassion as we continue to acknowledge our carnality that's hostile to our divine nature.
So, do you accept?
What was the question?
For those of you who can't see, because I don't have him on camera yet, Ronald Bell is in the studio, and I tried to wake him up this morning.
Oh, here we go.
But when I called his house, do you know that your phone automatically turns on? Do you know our phones can automatically turn on if you program it that way?
Our phones do it.
Right?
They talk to us.
Mine is not. Mine does not automatically turn on. I that's crazy.
Mine doesn't either.
No, it's dangerous. But his does.
It does?
Right.
My phone turns on.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Because I called you this morning, and this is what I heard.
Oh no, it was on silent. That's why I didn't hear it. Right?
Okay, so
or did you even text me?
So anyway, so when I called you, this is what I heard. I said, "Is that one snore or two?" Then it was one snore. It was one.
Was I sleeping on my phone? You were something else. Merry Christmas, by the way.
What mic are you on, by the way?
I don't know. I'm not used to
He's four.
Is it four?
Sitting in the seat.
Right.
It's like awkward for me.
I'm sure.
Okay.
I know.
Because I'm used to being in
over
like
here.
Yeah, but I ain't gonna say nothing.
I'm sorry. I would have.
Well, I know it's raining cats and dogs outside.
I was coming out when we came in.
When I came out, it wasn't raining, and then when I got in the station, I was waiting for the 22 bus.
Okay.
And then the guy said 2 minutes, and that 2 minutes turned into 12 minutes.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden it started pouring. I said, "Oh Lord!" And then when I got out over here on Norfolk Ave, I said, "Oh my goodness, I got to walk in this rain." So I'm trying to get myself together here, but you're not letting me. Because I got rain all over my face and.
Yeah, it does look kind of bad.
It does.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well, why don't we handle that?
No, you're good.
No, I'm not. Look at this.
I don't see any rain at all. That's sweat. So that's why I didn't put him on the camera.
No?
No, because Ron has to get settled. And then he needs his tea. He goes into the kitchen. He goes into the kitchen more often than I do.
Hey, that's what the church is.
So again, we want to do something during the Christmas season. We did something during the Thanksgiving season, and I'm hoping that the Red Sox and others will look at the potential of our church family and choose to be even more supportive. Wouldn't it be great if a person, or if the church raised the money, and if a person raised the kind of money that we could renovate our kitchen to be able to pass the
Yes.
city's inspectional services, so that we could open up our church to do. We've always wanted to have a place where people can come in and eat, and that may happen before I retire, but I hope that it happens. If it doesn't happen before I retire, I hope it happens after I retire. I know a pastor. You're changing your seat. I know a pastor. Well, the reason why I can't talk is because Ron has.
I'm just so uncomfortable over here. It just feels funny, but anyway.
Well, the reason why you're uncomfortable is that usually that's where the guests sit, and
Right.
you're usually grilling the guests and making them feel uncomfortable.
I don't grill guests. What I do is communicate and let them tell their story. Because stories are very important.
And do they tell their stories, Ron?
Oh yeah, look at this here. It's like it's all like cluttery. Then I'm sweating.
I only have you on camera now.
You know what it was when they were talking about the storm and the rain? I went and got dressed with the long johns, and now I'm like in here like sweating. You got it like 80 degrees in here.
Yes, Ron, because we have a senior here,
Okay.
and the senior wants to be and needs to be warm.
Okay.
And so we've been talking about the event that we have going on the 29th, feeding those who have a need.
Right.
And we were talking about the church needs to do more, and that there are people who are saying that the time of the church has passed, and
Right.
we're not relevant anymore. People are not building their lives around the church. The schools aren't coming out of the church. A whole lot of things that happened historically, it's not happening now. And so what we're doing, what we did for Thanksgiving, serving
Meals and
200 meals, delivering them.
Right.
It's one thing to have 200 people come to the church, but to go out to 200 homes, not just in Boston. They went outside of the city to serve
Greater
the
Boston. That's where our folks are at anyway. In Greater
True.
Boston. You know what I mean?
True. So welcome.
Welcome.
Glad to have you up and moving. Why are you, Ron? People are looking at you.
That's fine. I want them to see me.
Oh, okay. So, do you think the church? Because Pastor Hobbs and I are talking about this, and the camera's on you now.
Right.
Do you think the church is ever going to regain some of the positive things that they did in the past, or is the church going to chart a new future? I can't even define what that new future is going to look like.
Right. You know what I think would happen, Pastor?
Could you tell me what you think?
No, seriously.
I want to know what you think.
When the faith-based money happened, there was a whole tension between human service agencies, which is primarily government and philanthropic opportunities. But with the church and then there was tension between human service agencies and the faith-based groups. Then the faith-based groups started getting government money, and then they had to adjust to the criteria of receiving them funds. For instance, you could not tell a person they could not be a Christian.
Right.
You could not tell a person they couldn't do certain things.
Right.
So I think that has caused a lot of
Was
the
the
churches.
church being watered down?
I think so because a lot of people became partisan. The church has always been political as far as civic engagement, social action, and so forth. But I think when they became partisan, starting to lean towards candidates and parties, that's become a problem.
Okay, so we have a church watering down itself, its message to receive the grants, and we had nonprofits being created in the churches so that they can receive the money.
Funding.
Right? But there was a period of time when the government was giving money to the churches because they saw the relevancy of the churches. Now it looks like the government has pulled away from that kind of funding and support,
Right.
and saying once again, it's got to be a really secularized nonprofit. Why did it change? That's a question to both of you. Said something to interview.
I think it's because of resources. I mean, a lot of folks do not tithe like they used to. And, because of the pandemic, that has caused a lot of people to be hands off on the church. And so they're not, the Bible says, forsake yourself, assembling yourselves together, right? Mm-hmm. So folks are assembling themselves online. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like, it's not the same community like it used to be.
Mm-hmm. We can't simply exist that way.
Right.
There needs to be fellowship.
Right.
There needs to be a coming together of the body of Christ, so that we can iron sharpens iron, so that we can say we're not going to forsake the assembling of ourselves together.
Right.
So that we can grow together as the body of Christ. One of the things that Pastor Hobbs and I were talking about is there have been a lot of condemnation comments, negative comments about the church,
right? About
the sexual predators in the church. We were talking about the church not really being the center of activity for Black America, because people have grown away from the church,
right? And
their job, or they have more opportunities than they had before. Can we get back to what the church used to do,
mm-hmm.
or should we not go back? Should we try a new course? But I have no idea what that new course would look like.
I think it's both. We go back and we go forward. The truth of the matter is, yes, we have to regain.
Right.
But with regaining, we also have to chart a new course.
That's right.
It's not either or. It's both.
It's and both.
It's
right?
both and.
Right.
What's the top of the hour too?
So what? I'm sorry. What did you say?
The top of the hour.
But that another thing, I think a lot of people has put too much into the pastor, mm-hmm. and they start idolizing individuals.
Oh, yeah.
And see what happens is that people don't realize that these folks are human beings.
Absolutely.
And I'll leave it on that note.
Okay, we have to go to station ID. I'm going to actually keep us on the screen because I can do that, and we're going to bring up the music, and we'll be back in just a few seconds.